We've all been there, shooting at stuff for no reason. But these were the forefathers of first-person shooters. Dark Forces improved that formula to a whole new level, but only by 1998, action and storytelling within the genre was pushed forward in such a way that every single one of us that really played Half-Life back then can relate. Damn, I even bought a freaking Sidewinder Dual Strike to play this game. Half-Life came from a rather obscure developer by the name Valve. It was in fact their first game, and you know what happened a few years later, don't you? It was created using a heavily modified version of the Quake engine licensed from id Software, and the fact of being a different approach to the genre with puzzles, horror and a story, yes, a real story and plot, ended up neglected by practically every single publisher that saw it running. Only Sierra understood Gabe Newell's vision, cause this was a publisher that really cared about storytelling. In fact, the game starts differently to what we'd seen till then, with a monorail ride through Black Mesa research facility, in where the action mostly takes place, and with the developers' names popping up in a sort of movie style. These are just a few examples that were inspired by Half-Life's iconic introduction.
Time is 8:47 a.m. Current topside temperature is...
Slightly based on Area 51 and Los Alamos National Lab, Black Mesa Research Facility is an ultra-secret complex under government contract, conducting top-secret and extremely volatile experiments.
Eating or drinking.
Everything goes well and according to plan, until a certain experiment goes wrong.
Get away from the... Shut it down. Objective shut down. It's done.
Portals to another dimension are opened, and strange things and behavior starts to happen. We're equipped with only a crowbar, and damn, how I missed my crowbar. The main protagonist is no highly trained soldier or marine, like the ones we could find on most first-person shooters that came prior. In Half-Life, we control Gordon Freeman, this bearded physicist that is known today as one of the most important video game characters in history.
No! Stay back! Gordon!
Gordon has now a problem. He must use that crowbar against his fellow scientists that were turned into zombies, also smashing in the process those disgusting headcrabs that simply want to suck his brain. As told, Freeman is no superhero with superpowers, combat experience and super strength. The HEV suit is his last hope of survival, providing some defense against these nasties. The story of Half-Life is told entirely in-game. Everything is seen through the eyes of the protagonist. Most story elements unfold via scripted sequences triggered by the player when reaching a certain area. If other characters have information to reveal, they'll address us directly.
System out, I couldn't tell you how to get there, but there's an old decommissioned rail system somewhere through here, beyond the silo complex.
The Black Mesa complex is not made up of distinct levels, but is mostly a continuous world where backtracking is possible. As for weapons, these are mostly based in real life, so expect to find pistols, machine guns and explosives, but there are also futuristic energy weapons developed at Black Mesa, as well as organic weapons acquired from the invading aliens. Half-Life also introduced a set piece, areas that provide certain important events and confrontations in where the practically non-existent music would also pop out to emphasize the story and momentum. Enemies fall into two categories, aliens and human soldiers or marines. While most of the aliens are not very bright, the Marines are extremely clever and deadly that really set the standard for FPS games. These were sent by the government to eliminate the alien organisms and all other surviving Black Mesa personnel, including Dr. Freeman.
I killed 12 dumbass scientists and not one of them fought back. This sucks.
When in direct combat, these would take cover and try to flank us using grenades to flush us out. This was the first time that an enemy was able to truly intimidate me, and if that wasn't enough, this figure known as G-Man would appear from time to time, creating an even more mysterious and tense feeling while playing, just like if our every single step was being monitored. Environmental puzzles were also introduced cause some of the alien enemies cannot be killed by normal means, so the environment must be used against them instead. All this mind-blowing cinematic action, exploration and clever plot was cloned by so many first-person shooters that followed, like Call of Duty, Halo or Far Cry, also inspiring the modding community to create their own games using the Quake engine, such as the iconic Counter-Strike and Day of Defeat. It was ported to the PlayStation 2 by Gearbox Software back in 2001, and the Dreamcast version was also ready to be placed on store shelves. But the uncertain future of Sega led to the cancellation of that particular version. Rumor says, though, that there are copies in the wild of that Dreamcast port. Expansions followed also by Gearbox. In 1999 came Opposing Force, and by 2001 Blue Shift, that was initially aimed for a Dreamcast exclusive release, but as stated ended up being ported to the PC, also offering the high definition pack that would update the looks of Opposing Force and Blue Shift. The PlayStation 2 game had also an expansion of its own, included in disc, Decay, that featured cooperative gameplay in which two players could solve puzzles or fight against the many enemies in this amazing Half-Life universe.
Corporal, what the hell is going on here? Nobody told us about black operations in the mission briefing.
Half-Life hasn't aged too well, we can all agree with that. And the platforming sections are incredibly painful, but it changed games forever, and its legacy persists to this day. So guys, share down in the comments section below your memories and love for Half-Life, a true groundbreaking game that revolutionized the genre and the whole industry, giving birth to Steam, the largest digital distribution platform for PC gaming. Hope you've enjoyed this episode, so if you did, don't forget to share, to smash that like button, to subscribe to the channel and click on that bell icon so that you're notified when all my upcoming content becomes available. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all in my next episode.